Hello everyone. I'll be speaking on insufflator and insufflation. This is what we achieve better with a pneumoperitoneum is using a good insufflator and using a good insufflation technique. This is very important subject and important instrument where we have least understood about this. So let us have a basic knowledge about the insufflation and insufflators. The main aim of the insufflator unit is to create, monitor, and to maintain the intra-abdominal pressure to operate successfully. Most of the insufflators have these indicators, and advanced insufflators have all these four indicators. They have a screen around 6 to 7 inch in most of these insufflator units. We have a preset insufflation pressure, the actual pressure, the gas flow rate, and the volume of the gas used. The present pressure, this is usually we set before starting the surgery. Either we can set it before we scrub, or we can tell our OT technician to set the pressure once we start the case. Ideally, the intra-abdominal pressure we should keep between 12 to 15 millimeters of mercury during the surgery. For the beginners, for ideally when we are inserting the varies or primary trocar, for beginning for short duration, we can keep even up to 12 millimeters of mercury for the beginner with a laparoscopy. Then later on, we can reduce to 12 to 15 millimeters of mercury. If we keep too much high pressure like 18 millimeters or 20 millimeters of mercury, it can cause a rapid compression on the major blood vessels. So it will reduce the venous return. This has a side effect like a increased risk of deep vein thrombosis, emphysema, and then decreased renal perfusion and hepatic perfusion. Many side effects we have by keeping during the operative pressure high. For the extraperitoneal surgery, we can go up to 18 to 20 millimeters of mercury for the good vision. Here, we don't have any side effects on compression of the major blood vessels or anything like that. The flow rate, this is what we set during the procedure. During the various insertion, the flow rate should be kept very minimal, 1 to 2 liters per minute. Why means during the various insertion, especially when we are in the extraperitoneum or by mistake we have entered in the major blood vessels like vena cava or any other blood vessels, the severe complications can be avoided by keeping a low flow rate during the various insertion. During the operative procedure, we can keep it maximum, which will help for the rapid refilling so that we will have a better view when we are operating. Even we use eye suction during that time. Other parameter what we can see is total gas used. This depends on the duration of the surgery. For diagnostic laparoscopy, we use a short duration, so the amount of the gas used will be very less. For prolonged surgery, the gas used may be high. And if we have used too much suction, or when there is a too much leak, either in the tubing system or the trocar, when we change the instruments frequently, if the valves are leaking, then there is a lot of leakage. So the total gas used during the surgery can go high. The other one is during the initial varus insertion, the total gas used, especially when the patient is normal built, we use up to 1 to 2 liters. We can feel the pressure up to 12 to 14 millimeters of mercury. And this depends on the stature of the patient also. If the patient build is huge and a patient has very lax abdomen also, it can go maximum 4 to 6 liters also initially when we insert the varus and trocar. This is very, very useful, especially where we are initially when we are putting the varus. Depending on the total gas used, we can assess whether we are in the intraperitoneal cavity or extraperitoneum or in the vessels. So always try reducing the total amount of gas used. for the safety of patients also, for the safety of the operating room faculty also. Why means for the patient safety means rapid refilling with a non-heated gas will lead to hypothermia and related complications like fibrillation, all those things. For operating room, if we are having a leakage, any tubing system, or these things can cause, especially this when you are using electrosurgery, there are some carcinogenic gases which are released, virus, bacteria, if it is there, which can be released into the OR system, which will be not good environment for operating faculty also. This is one of the parameter, actual pressure. In some of the monitors, they have shown this also with the advanced monitor. So this is the actual pressure which will be sensed by insufflator. Few monitors have shown, few monitors doesn't display here. So pressure depends on so many factors. Actual pressure, when we are connecting the insufflation tube, the varies the pressure, actual pressure may go high. When we are connecting with the gas tube, it will come to the normal pressure. And we have any obstruction for the trocar, the actual pressure depends on these factors, so many factors. So when we are using the gas and the pressure, usually they go in parallel. This is very important step when we are doing a laparoscopic varus insertion. This is the initial step in the laparoscopy to have a successful laparoscopy. Initially, if we are in the extraperitoneum, the pressure can go high and the volume of the gas can be very less. So they are not in parallel. We should be very careful regarding the volume of total gas used and the actual pressure. Otherwise, if by mistake, if we have entered the vena cava, the pressure of the vena cava is around 6 millimeters. So by total amount of gas may be flowing more because we have kept during the varus insertion only 1 to 2 liters. So it may not have side effects immediately. So still the pressure may not be rising. Your volume of gas used will be very high. So we should keep an eye always on the monitor of the insufflator in the beginning. So that is very important step in the insufflation. There are many key players in the endoscopic insufflators in the global market, like Olympus, Stryker, many are there, Fujifilm, Karl Storz, Richard Wolf, and in other local market also we have many key players. Depending on our affordability and how much we are investing, we can go ahead with a different insufflator, but the key in laparoscopy is to have a good insufflator machine. These are few insufflators. They have a maximum flow rate of 40 to 50 liters per minute with a different like a Karl Storz, Olympus, and different have a different. Anyway, maximum flow rate is good with the advanced insufflators. Previously, with the early laparoflators, they used to have only 6 to 10 liters per minute. It was really difficult during that time to have a good pneumoperitoneum when we are using the suction, especially the operating procedures. These are the gases. Some clinical and laboratory studies has been done on all these gases, and parameters were evaluated like acid-base changes, hemodynamic, respiratory, hepatic, and the renal blood flow changes, and the intracranial pressure, and the venous emboli and port site growth. With these studies, some conclusions were nitrous oxide supports the combustion. The helium and argons are insoluble, so there is associated risk with the embolic phenomena. So carbon dioxide has been more safest profile with when we compare to all these things. It is even safe during the electrosurgery, laser surgery, and easily eliminated through the lungs. And one more thing is it is rapidly absorbed in the bloodstream and even during the extraperitoneum also. And it has absorption rate which is 150 times higher than the air. The hardware of different insufflators, they are usually microprocessor controlled. With the recent insufflators, they have a basic model, basic with a smoke evacuation function, basic model with a gas heating system, and basic with the smoke evacuation plus heating system, gas heating system. These are few insufflators with they have a high speed insufflation And they have automatic and adjustable smoke evacuation system, gas heating system, and a cylinder hose with a switchover also. Few have a camera control unit where we can, after washing also, we can adjust the flow rate and the pressure, everything ourselves in the camera control. The insufflating tubes usually made of silicon and PVC. The length most commonly they are around 2.5 to 3 meters. This is a standard tube, which is the distance between the laparoscopy view of laparoscopy cart and our operating table. And this tubing material sometimes you can have even when we are using the gas filter also, heating system also, different tubing system. The other thing is filters and the smoke evacuators. Filters for the safety of our insufflation and for the patient safety, we connect for the insufflator here. Most of them are single-use filters for this. And this is something smoke evacuation filters. Some have connected for the canister and for the suction machine here. These are in market, single-use suction smoke evacuation devices like Plume Port, and other is a Valley Lab laparoscopic smoke evacuation system. They have a filters here. Usually filters should be connected very near to the port, exit port. They say around 2 to 5 millimeters is always good for the good smoke evacuation when we are using this. This is also an air seal system which has inbuilt smoke evacuation system with the insufflator. These are the smoke evacuators which are in market from the ConeMed, Stryker, and Plume Port. These are few of the names which has efficacy up to 99.9%. This is a low budget what we used during COVID season. Now we are still continuing to use for few patients, non-affordable patients also. This is HME filters, heat and moisture exchange filters, which has efficacy of 99.9%. These filters are used with the ventilators. We have connected this with the Romosil underwater with the distilled water and the sodium hypochlorite. The other side we have connected for the trocar with the tubing set. This is the endoflator which we are using in ROT. I thought I will show how we are how we have to use this. This has a monitor around 7-inch screen, and this is the switch on and switch off button. And this is the insufflator tubing. This is the filter. We have to speak with the manufacturer what filters they are giving, how many usages of these filters. We have to change according to that. Once we switch on the monitor, after this is the tubing set. Once the monitor is switched on, it will show the pediatric or high flow adult system. So this is switch on button. So after that, these are touch screen actually. Once we switch on, this is the adult, this one, the carbon dioxide total amount used, the pressure, what we set, and the flow, what we set during the operative procedure. This is the pause button and then on button, because we cannot switch it on, switch it off here every time. This is for increasing the pressure or reducing the pressure. This is set depending on when we are inserting the varies or when we are operating, we have to set. For the beginners, always for inserting the varies and the trocar, keep the pressure up to 20 millimeters of mercury. When we are operating, you can reduce immediately to 14 millimeters of mercury. The flow rate, as I told, 1 to 2 liters per minute during the varies insertion. After that operative procedure, you can keep even maximum for the flow rate. So this is how routinely I am using this. And one more important thing here is when you're plugging on the tube, we should keep it on for washing away the air in the insufflation tube. That is something similar to the hysteroscopy, where we are letting out the air. We have to let out the air in the insufflation tube with the carbon dioxide, so that there is a less risk of air embolism even if you have entered into the vessel also. Thank you very much. If you have any doubts, you can mail me. I will be sharing my mail ID.